Don't be an oxymoron. Good grief! I'm always told to act naturally, so before I get myself into a fine mess, it's time to think aloud and be sure to make this video a new classic that will go down in the pages of modern history. Don't worry, I'm not having a mild crisis, I am just using a terribly enjoyable feature of the English language, the oxymoron. By the way, for those of you who are casually concerned, the numbers you see discreetly flashing up on the screen are my oxymoronometer. It's an awfully good way to keep count of all these oxymorons. I can tell by your deafening silence that you are clearly confused, so let me explain myself. An oxymoron is a condensed paradox, two words that when put side by side seem to contradict each other. Hot ice, living dead, jumbo shrimp, virtual reality, these are all examples of oxymorons. In fact, oxymoron is itself an oxymoron. Oxus is the ancient Greek for sharp or keen, and moros means dull or stupid. That's why another name for a stupid person is a moron. So oxymoron literally means sharp dull, making it an oxymoron. But you're probably more familiar with oxy as part of the word oxygen. Back in the 18th century, chemist Anton Lavoisier thought that all acids required a particular substance in their composition. Acids such as vinegar taste sharp, so he chose oxy, and as he was dealing with how acids are created, he chose an ancient Greek for birth, genos. As it turns out, he was wrong. Acids don't necessarily need oxygenos or oxygen to form, but that name stuck, and now every time you breathe in, you're gulping down a sharp birth. Leaving that somewhat disturbing mental image aside, let's go back to oxymorons, or as some would prefer the pluralisation, oxymora. Because oxymoron is an oxymoron, it's what is known as homological. A word is homological if it describes itself. The word English is English, and readable is readable, as long as you can read, I suppose. My absolute favourite homological word, however, is pentasyllabic, which means to have 5 syllables. We call them homological word because homo means same in ancient Greek, like in homosexual and homophone, but not in homo sapiens. That homo comes from the Latin for man. So, if homological is a word that describes itself, then what's the opposite of that? Well, that would be heterological, because hetero means different. Big is a small word, which means it's heterological. Misspelled isn't misspelled, and abbreviated isn't abbreviated. But is heterological heterological? This is what's known as the Grelling-Nelson paradox. In 1908, Kurt Grelling and Leonard Nelson asked, is heterological a heterological word? If you answer no, heterological is homological, then that means heterological does not describe itself, which means it is heterological. But if the answer is yes, heterological is heterological, then this will also lead to another contradiction, because if the word heterological describes itself, it is therefore homological. And that's all the paradoxes my brain can take for now. So it's at this bittersweet moment I say goodbye and thanks for watching, but don't worry, barring any ill health, I'll be back next week. Well, it's a definite maybe anyway.